Say, man, you see my crab cakes? Till I'm all alone. If you see my crab case, tell her things went wrong. Don't call on the phone and bring a black draw home. I got some Louisiana hot sauce, a little tartar too. Come on, little girl, tell me what you wanna do. Them Maryland crab cakes are the best in town. Them Maryland crab cakes are the best in town. So come on, baby, let's get Louisiana down. If you see my crab cake, have you seen my crab cake? If you see my crab cake, till I'm all alone, tell her I still love her, and when she come back home.
Now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Cowell Jones. Time for Talking About with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're listening. Hope you're doing all right. Busy show schedule for today, like usual. Don't forget the show's being brought to you in part by Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service. If you need a limo, and you're someplace in the United States, maybe even Canada, then you need to give my girl, Kat, a call from Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service. Give her a call today, 202-351-7496. That's 202-351-7496. Don't forget, Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service is the official limo service of this year's Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekend. Scheduled for November 16th, 17th, and 18th. we got some great stuff planned for that. In addition to the new book that's out on Jersey Joe Walcott, the first book ever, and his author, the author of that book, I should say. Yeah, I guess his author. Yeah. James Curl. He's gonna be coming out. He's gonna be doing a presentation on Jersey Joe Walcott. Now he did one last year, but now he gets to do one with book in hand, and he did real well at the International Boxing Hall of Fame with the book. From what I understand, I think he sold out. So if you're looking to get a copy, make sure you make your plans to come on up to the Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekend. His book's going to be there. Clay Moyle's book on Billy Miskey, which is a great read. That's going to be there. My book on Tom Molyneux will be there. And, hey, plus we're going to have some memorabilia. Pugilistica.com will be coming. We're stepping up the memorabilia part of it a little bit. So in addition to the books, and maybe even the new book on Jax Johnson is going to be up there as well. So we got several books. And speaking of books, Ali and Me, Rick Koletsky, who did a presentation last year, we'll be doing another one this year. And he's got some interesting additions to his book on his relationship with Muhammad Ali. So all of that's coming up, plus some great presentations, including one that I really can't wait to see. It's actually with Terry Norris's wife, Tanya, I should say. I'm sorry. She's going to be doing a presentation on pugilistic. They call it pugilistic dementia, but it actually has a scientific name now called Parkinsonism, and how blows to the head basically have been now proven to start the process of Parkinson's disease, and there's ways to treat it. And she's got a great presentation on that, so that's going to be there. We're hoping, man, my man Runcie, I'm hoping that he's going to be there doing another presentation on art. I mean, that was, listen, no disrespect to any of the other presenters, but that one, to me, was so enlightening, and I'm hoping he comes back because he wants to. So we'll see what happens there. As a matter of fact, I got to put a link up on the website to his stuff, so you guys can get some of that. Also, we're going to be doing, Austin Colleen is going to be doing another presentation, and of course we're going to have to sit through his comedy routine. I mean, just laugh and clap your hands or whatever, and maybe he'll go away. No. That's right. If you do show him any kinds of support, he won't go away. He's like the relative that comes over for an hour or two and just never leaves, But of course, I'm kidding, Colleen. Don't start getting all upset with me. But anyway, man, did I jump off that one, huh? Yeah. If you need a limo, call my girl Kat. Just remember, she's my girl. 202-351-7496. Of course, the show is also being brought to you in part by Campadero and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, give the ones that keep my ass out of trouble a call. That's Campadero and Tomkovich, 845-221-4099. I'll pick up your consultation fee. That's right, man. Call them today, 845-221-4099. Let Campanero and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099. And, of course, my friends over at the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. If you're looking for good food, good people, drink specials, food specials, all that stuff, and, of course, a good time, live bands, live entertainment on Friday and Saturdays, you need to look no further than the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. Call ahead if you want, 518-792-4869. That's 518-792-4869. And don't forget, Sundays and Mondays, we got the Goyles there, playing around with their volleyballs. And if you want to go check that out, definitely do so. I'm thinking about going there. I'm just feeling real old these days, and maybe if I can see a couple of girls playing volleyball in their bikinis on a beach, beach setup for volleyball, maybe they'll get the old juices flowing. I don't know. But Halftime Bar and Grill, 792-4869 if you're in the area. If you're out of the area, 518-792-4869. Also, the show is also being brought to you part by the Whitehall Athletic Club. Listen, if you are looking, if you're in the Glens Falls area, but even if you're not, and you're looking to come up to the Adirondacks and spend some time, you should consider joining the Whitehall Athletic Club. What a great place, man. Boating, fishing. They got a gun. Yeah, and they got a target range or a shooting range. Yeah, that's what they call it. I'm not so much into that. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but they got an indoor one, which is really cool, and an outdoor one for like skeet shooting and all that kind of stuff. They also have a full golf course. They got, basketball in and outdoors. They got a pool. They got jacuzzis. They got a weight room. They got a couple of restaurants, a couple of bars in there. It's really good. And we also get live sporting entertainment like this weekend. There's going to be pro wrestling. And then on July 20th, we got a world title fight. The main event, Chavez-Lee against Victoria Cisneros, who's just a knockout in more ways than one. And this is a rematch. These two battled to a split decision that Chavez came out on top in New Mexico a couple of years ago. And they're going to be fighting for the WIBA interim world junior welterweight title. Now, you know how I feel about that. But the bottom line is for a world title. We are going to be broadcasting this, so anybody outside of New York is going to be able to see it for free. So make sure you make your plans there. And if you are in the state of New York, you got to come up, man. Contact WhiteHallAthleticClub.com for ticket information. And I'll have a phone number for you, too, and a poster probably by Monday. So Whitehall Athletic Club, check them out, www.whitehallathleticclub.com. Marty Mulcahey's coming up. Hey, I also want to remind everybody, don't forget to vote, man. We need you to take a minute and vote up on BillyCBoxing.com. Where would you like to see the show broadcast from? We got some stuff cooking, man, and right now we're deadlocked, and we need some more votes one way or another. So we need you to take some time and vote. Now, this is open to everybody, no matter how you're listening or watching the show. Just take a minute, go up to BillyCBoxing.com and cast your vote. You do have to create a username and password, but big deal. It'll take you literally a minute to do it all. And speaking of BillyCBoxing.com, mark it as your homepage, man. We're working real hard on that site. We have no pop-ups there. We're very quick with boxing news. The only time it may lag a little bit is if yours truly is doing a live broadcast like I will be next week from Tampa. That's right. I'll get you all the information come Monday, but you will be able to watch it. It will be a live broadcast through the internet. I'll give you all the information. Tampa, I believe it's at the Doubletree. And if you're in the Florida area, and specifically Tampa, make sure you swing by and say hello. Anybody that says hello to me while I'm doing these events, you give me your email address and mailing address, I'll send you a prize. All you can do is say hello. So I also wanted to make sure that you guys know that we're doing a new show. That's right. Except it's not going to be boxing. It's going to be talking New York sports with Billy C. and Brooklyn Mikey. That's right. My man Brooklyn Mikey is going to be joining me, and we're going to be talking New York sports. That's right. It's going to be kicking off the first Saturday. We're going to be doing it live on Saturdays, but then it's going to be available to you, through all the Billy C Boxing channels. You can go up under radio shows on BillyCBoxing.com and check it out. You'll be able to see it on YouTube. You'll be able to get a podcast of it, all that happy stuff. And it's going to be called Talking New York Sports with Billy C and Brooklyn Mike. And we're going to showcase the show is starting. Our first show will be live on the first Saturday after the Major League Baseball All-Star break. That's right. They take a break and they have the All-Star game. Well, it'll be the first Saturday after that. So whenever the All-Star break is, that very next Saturday, if you're into other sports aside from boxing, check it out. I think you're going to like it. It's going to be our style, and Brooklyn Mike knows his stuff. And we're going to be gearing basically for all the New York people and the New York transplants who just are loyal. No disrespect to any other teams out there, but there's no fan more loyal than the New York sports fans, and that's why we decided to do the show. Hey, I got to go. I'm going to take a break. When I come back, I got some emails to read from the mailbag, some interesting ones coming up in about 2.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Rosselli Enterprises. Rosselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flow boys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Rosselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RosselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IBO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IBO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at iboboxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C. dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're probably watching it on Fight Now TV, LDL TV, maybe YouTube, maybe on BillyCBoxing.com, Max Boxing. I don't know. A lot of places. Stick'em, Ustream, wherever. Glad you could join us. Got the mailbag I want to get into right now. Like I always do. It's your time, man. It's basically a time that we've dedicated to you. That's right, to you. So you can, give us your thoughts and everything. First one we got is from J.R. something Adino. Yeah, J.R. Dino. Okay, whatever. I can't see. I'm so old, It says, don't pull the plug on YouTube. I listen to it all the time. That was the response to yesterday. I'm just getting fed up with some of the YouTube. Some of the YouTubers are just like looking for 3-minute or up to 8-minute videos, and they haven't figured out that if they stumble across us in a search or something like that, and they want to see the show, they're attracted to the title or whatever, and they click on it, and all of a sudden they hear the intro and they hear me start talking. They're like, oh man, what's this? Oh, I don't want to listen to you to 2 hours. Hey, hello. It says, if you take a minute and read, it says it's a complete show. You can see that it's 2 hours by the time. If you're not ready to check out, the sports top boxing talk radio show, TV show, whatever you want to call it, then move on. Don't click it. And you add to that every single time I post or they post a YouTube, the bottom line is, I'm getting, that's our Crab Cakes is a different Crab Cake song. No, it's not. It's by Memphis Gold. It's our song. We have the rights to play it, not you, Rumble, whoever you are, So that's the only reason why I was a little upset. So don't worry, man. We're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. At least unless we become exclusive with someone else. Then I got no choice. Say. Bigaback says, you have no idea how the HBO cheerleaders affect how a good fight seems if you watch Martinez Baker on HBO. It seems like a lackluster one-sided fight where Sergio's not living up to it. But if you listen to it on the British broadcast, it seems much more competitive, entertaining, where Barker is fighting hard. Listen, I have a tendency now because I think, and you know, I don't want to sound because, you know, too critical because I do the blow-by-blow and color commentating elsewhere. But, you know, it's just become awful. I mean, a lot of these guys are terrible. And it's not that they don't know what they're doing. It's just the way in which they're delivering it. You know, Nick Charles said it best, and it's the best rule to follow if you're into broadcasting. You know, you call the action that's happening in front of you. You know, I mean, if you're going to go back and refer to something, fine. But, you know, the guys at HBO, they get too wrapped up in other things. You know, it's too corporate. And quite frankly, the ESPN team, you know, it's ridiculous sometimes with Teddy. Teddy, you know, I mean, he's got the ego. You know, so I've learned to listen to it without the sound. You know, now I do listen to the big fights with the sound first and then go back and listen to it out. But a lot of times I listen to it without the sound. And not all the time, you know, but a lot of times I do. So good point, Biggerback. He also says, also Floyd's past 5 fights were much more entertaining than Pacquiao's past 5. Why the hell did boxing nobodies think he's boring? Also, he fought much better opposition and still lands clean punches easily where Pac is losing it. Listen, I don't know about the last 5 fights of Floyd being entertaining, but I'll give him at least the last 2. You know, we're clearly more entertaining than what we used to. And a lot of people think he's boring because he's not an action-packed fighter. He usually doesn't go after his opponent the way he has been in his last couple of fights. Now, I will say that the last several fights of Manny Pacquiao have clearly not been what we're accustomed to with Manny. But I think it's just a simple case of, you know, they're both reaching a twilight of their careers. I just think that it's more evident with Manny Pacquiao than it is with Floyd at this stage. You know, Floyd may be seeking out, you know, better opposition now, but it would be hard to win that argument that he fought better opposition throughout his career than Pacquiao did. You know, if you're looking at the last 2 years, you know, they're similar, very similar. You know, so I just think that the comparisons now are, you know, I think Floyd has proved that, you know, he's a better overall fighter than Manny Pacquiao. End of story. You know, I mean, like it or not, and I certainly don't like it, but it's the truth. You know, but thanks for the email, Biggerback. Victor J. He says, Chavez beating Mayweather, you guys are smoking crack. No, we're not smoking crack. We're just figuring, at least I say we, not we, me, my opinion, and I don't speak for, you know, anyone else on the show. But my opinion is that he will give. I mean, let's face it, Alex Papali, his you know, one of his idols is Sergio Martinez. I mean, yes, you know, if you've ever met my man Alex, you'll see that, you know, his real idol is Marvelous Marvin Hagler. You can't miss it. You know, if all you could do is look at Alex's arm, there's a life-size tattoo of Marvelous Marvin right on his arm. Even Marvin liked it. You should have seen. And I'll burst Alex's bubble. We ran right. You know, Alex is saying, "Oh, I hope I get to see Marvelous." And all of a sudden, Marvin walks in, walks right past him. Alex sits down at the chair, and Marvin walks right past him. And Alex jumped up like a schoolgirl. "Oh, look at my tattoo!" And Marvin smiled, man. He said, "Yeah, he liked it. There's no question about that." And his next bestest guy is Sergio Martinez, I think. And, you know, my point about Alex is that he doesn't think Chavez is going to beat Martinez. I think he's got a good chance only because of the size. And, you know, listen, we're all saying Martinez is a middleweight, blah, 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 but, hey, let's face it, he's a small middleweight, you know. And, you know, you heard Andy Lee. Andy Lee said it best. Andy Lee is a guy who was sparring with Sergio Martinez. I mean, personally, I think that was a stupid move. I mean, you're preparing to fight a huge, you know, plodding body puncher and a guy who's bigger and, you know, not as slick and not as fast as Sergio Martinez, and you train and spar with Martinez to get ready for it. I mean, to me, that was a mistake. But Andy Lee said it. He said, "Hey, listen, this is going to be a tough fight for Sergio Martinez. This kid is big and strong, and punches just don't have any effect on him. And I think that's the key. The way Sergio Martinez can win, Victor, which I know, and I don't need to smoke crack to tell you why he couldn't win, but the way he could win is to outbox Chavez for 12 rounds. That's easier said than done. Chavez has a pretty good knack of cutting the ring off and, imposing his size and will and landing some body shots. Once he is successful, if he's successful, landing some body shots, he'll slow the movement down of Martinez and catch up to him. I predict, yes, you're right, and without smoking any crack, I predict that Julio Cesar Chavez, if he turns out to be clean, because if he turns out to be dirty, then I got an issue. But if he turns out to be clean or whatever, and he does fight Martinez, I think that it's going to be a methodical fight. I think Martinez is going to be comfortably ahead on the scorecards when Chavez catches up with him and puts him out. So hey, just keep tuning in, and you get your thoughts across. Tell me why. Instead of just saying we're smoking crack, tell me why you think Martinez is going to win. That's what we're looking for here. We're giving you the platform. You want us to keep using your name and make you sound stupid? Give me a reason why Martinez is going to win. EQX150 says Martinez is more skilled and conditioned than Chavez. See, Victor J? Here EQX is giving us a reason why. He says Martinez is going to win because he's more skilled and conditioned than Chavez. Can't argue. No, I don't think there's anybody better conditioned than Sergio Martinez. And he's clearly more skilled. Nobody ever said he wasn't. I just think that his style, he has a tendency to keep his hands down. Yes, he's fast. Yes, he's going to land some shots on Chavez. And if he can bust Chavez up, that's a different story. But if he lands some shots on him, dances away, lands some shots, dances away. Hey, listen, in the female ranks, in the first fight, I witnessed Holly Holm, who's very fast, and she's got a lot of great footwork and hand speed, and she's an accurate puncher and all this stuff. I saw her, dancing around and nailing shots on Sophie Mathis in the first fight, and finally Sophie Mathis catch up with her and knocked her out cold. Devastating. One of the most brutal knockouts I've ever seen. Now, in the second fight, she was more disciplined, stayed away, and it didn't make an interesting fight, but she won. And that's the same thing Martinez would have to do. I'm not saying that he couldn't. I'm just thinking that he won't. That's all. But thanks for giving us an educated reason why you think Martinez will win, EQX. I appreciate it. Jamie Flora says, that's a great idea, utilizing technology to judge the fights. Everything else changes, evolves, and gets better with technology, so why not boxing scoring system? He's referring to what I was talking about yesterday with the WBC, and I gave them kudos, and as a matter of fact, I gave them a thumbs up on our thumbs up, thumbs down show. So, yeah, man, I give credit where credit's due, and clearly giving the WBC credit on that one. He goes on to say, well, I have an idea, too, which will most likely get ripped off by somebody. It already has the means to make the idea a reality. You know what? Obviously, Jamie didn't want to tell us what the idea was, and, doesn't want somebody to rip it off. I'm going to give you a little advice, my man. Here's what you do, and that goes for anybody. If you have an idea, and you're right to think that somebody's going to rip it off, especially in a case where maybe somebody else has some more do-re-mi than you, and they hear your idea and they rush it and they get ahead of you because they have more money. Here's how you can protect yourself very easily. You take the idea, okay, and you write it down. You print it out, get it notarized, all right, and then mail 2 copies to yourself. Put it in an envelope and address it to yourself, and go to the post office and mail it to yourself. Let it get postmarked, and you end up with the idea sealed in the envelope. You don't open the envelope. It's sealed in the envelope, postmarked, and then from that day on, it's basically considered like a copyright, from what I understand, and I've done it many times with some stuff. I have a great idea about a TV show, and that's exactly what I did. And if somebody else comes out with the idea, you can prove that it was your idea first with the self-addressed stamped mail, and at least you have a leg to stand on. So do that, Jamie, then tell us what the damn idea is, will you? Yeah, come on, man. Don't be afraid. We'll help you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio. He would scoff at a stretch of that man, I would think.
You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. from upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell him Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C, the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. That's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? What?
Wrong.
What's
wrong,
the problem?
Billy,
what?
C.
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask
wrong
you.
Speech. What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching it on the Fight Now television channel. I want to welcome the Fight Now audience. Just join us like they do Monday through Friday from 6 to 7:30 a.m. Eastern. If you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local television provider, whether it's cable or satellite. Tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. For all the information about the channel, you can find it right on their website, www.fightnow.com. Now, I still got some emails to read from our mailbag, but first, we got my man Marty Mulcahey on the line. What's up, brother?
Hey, doing good. I don't know. I might be a little bit out of practice here, so be gentle on me. I'm a little bit like Floyd Mayweather, only mentally. I'm not as I'm not as good as I should be.
Well, I hope you're eating your gourmet food and your bottled water, because the poor guy is absolutely suffering in jail.
You know. By the moment I was to speak right now, he must probably look like Urkel.
Yeah, he looks like Urkel. That's good. I you know. The whole thing, you know, and that's how long it's been. You and I we never got to talk about Mayweather's fight, you know, which was a fantastic fight against Cotto. We didn't get to talk about the jail. You know, we didn't get to talk about his most recent, you know, them actually feeling sorry. I even got an email from somebody. I don't know if you caught it. I don't know if you listened to the show, but I got an email from somebody saying, you try to do 23 hours in jail. Wait a minute. It's like, wait a second. I'd be, first of all, if I did something stupid, I'd be ready to do the time. That's first of all. Here's a guy that acts so tough and he's a badass and everything else, and he's crying about, the food and the water. I mean, come on. It's just like the anti-image he tries to portray.
It's not like he's one of those lambs or what, it was a veal where they make sure he's immobile and he can't move. Granted, it's a tiny cell, but you can do push-ups. You can you look at some of these prison documentaries. You can stay in shape in jail. Not boxing safe, not fighting shape, but you can fight your way through it. Fight your way through it, Floyd. It's all about mental strength, I think. When it comes to jail time. Granted, I haven't been in jail. I did my stuff. I got away with it. But still, I mean, like you said, you got to be prepared. If you do stupid things, this is what happens to you. And I find it hard to find anybody who feels sorry for them.
Right. And, well, there are. That's
but they don't come out in public. Did you see anybody come on TV and do it? Sure, you'll get your email here or there, but it's not. I mean, not come to face, on camera. Unless you're one of Floyd's guy or his lawyer, I don't see anybody out there publicly saying, yes, hey, this is just an injustice what they're doing to Floyd Mayweather.
I love the comment from the judge, when they were trying to make the case that he should be taken out of there and put on house arrest. First of all, I mean, how is that a punishment?
That's palace arrest. There's a difference between house arrest and palace arrest.
You're right, palace arrest. That's what I was just chuckling to myself. I'm saying, how could that be a punishment when he's, forced to stay in his mansion? I mean, come on, that's number one. Number two, and they're citing the food and the oh my God, he's got to drink tap water, and the judge just says, dude, it's jail. I mean, what do you think? And he got off easy to boot, but. Anyway, Manny Pacquiao, a lot's been talked. There's so many things I want to talk to you about. First of all, the Manny Pacquiao and Timothy Bradley fight. Listen, we've had some heated discussions here on the show, and some.
You and Probably,
yeah. Well, my argument there was that listen, and I have an email I'm going to read in a little bit, but. The bottom line is the judges don't have the luxury of watching the fight again and everything else. And when we watched it the first time, at least myself and even Alex for that matter, even not letting the announcers or whatever dictate your score, I still had Manny winning the fight. Now you could watch and do what you think and give the close rounds, mentally say I'm going to benefit, the other guy or whatever, and come up with a different score. But unfortunately, that's not the way it works. How did you see the fight originally, and what's your thoughts on the outcome?
Okay, I have to say that Saturday was a heavy sports day. I'm a soccer fan. I was watching a lot of soccer. There's NBA stuff, so I had a bunch of beers before that fight. I mean, before the opening cards,
You Irish guys, I mean, anything to throw down a couple of extras, man.
Yeah, so I was not 100%, and I didn't actually score the fight because I knew I had a little bit of a good buzz going. I thought that Pacquiao won it 9-3, 8-4, and I think the judges. I think they might have still been influenced by Pacquiao's last fight before this against Juan Manuel Marquez, where the judges also got a bit of a backlash because many people thought Marquez won that fight. And I think they came into this fight remembering that and thinking any close round, I'm going to give to Tim Bradley. And I think even with every close round that you can think of, I still had Tim Bradley losing the fight. I watched it twice since then, with the sound off and once with the BBC commentary. I mean, the Fight Network over there in England. And everybody has Manny Pacquiao winning that fight. Now, in previous bad decisions, I could see why it went against it, like Pernell Whitaker against Julio Cesar Chavez, and also like Oscar De La Hoya against Trinidad. But they were doing a little bit of counterpunching. They weren't leading. But at no point did I think Tim Bradley had control of this fight. It was Pacquiao. He was bossing the fight. He was coming forward. He was landing the bigger punches. And everything felt and looked like Manny Pacquiao took this fight, which I think is why there's this backlash, because even a novice boxing fan who just went to a pay-per-view party, there's 1 or 10 people there, and is watching the fight, saw Pacquiao coming forward, saw him, leading with the punches and pushing Bradley backwards. There was no. I didn't see Pernell Whitaker's artistry in Tim Bradley, so I don't know where the ring generalship didn't come into play here either, because I think Pacquiao was getting his game plan done. And, with Tim Bradley, his game plan was, make it an ugly fight. He couldn't really make it an ugly fight. He didn't get inside, and he didn't actually use his head as much as I thought. I thought this fight would then be a cut. So nothing that Bradley wanted to get done before the fight did he get done in the fight. So I just thought it was all Pacquiao, and not as egregious. I think this is maybe, borderline top 10 robbery. I mean, Axel Schultz against George Foreman come to mind. Go back to Jersey Joe Walcott against Joe Louis, the first fight. There have been other very controversial fights where, the star has gotten the benefit of the doubt. Oscar De La Hoya, Felix Storm. This is somewhere in that range, and it was bad, but I don't think it's the worst ever.
It's interesting because I scored the fight the first time. I had it 118, 110. Then I watched it again without the sound, and I ended up giving one extra round to Bradley. So I had to be grouped in with the masses. Tony Treem, who covered the fight for us, was ringside. He scored it for Pacquiao, but he also had it a little closer. I think he had 116 was his score for Pacquiao. The one thing that is constant, and I think maybe could be hurting, and I agree with you about the influence with the Juan Manuel Marquez fight, but that fight I wouldn't have called that. See, I don't call that a robbery because I didn't think that it was a clear Juan Manuel Marquez fight. I think it could have gone either way, and I wouldn't have argued that decision. So I think
that fight you could see momentum swinging back and forth. Did you ever see in the Pacquiao-Bradley fight momentum swings? I didn't see a momentum swing for Bradley.
Absolutely not. And I thought that Pacquiao controlled the fight. But I will say this about Pacquiao. Pacquiao has clearly lost his killer instinct. And I think that people that were used to seeing Manny Pacquiao go in there and try to annihilate his opponent and now sees this new Manny Pacquiao who's just trying to just win, just get the W. I think that's hurting him more than exciting. You know what I mean? I mean, that's hurting him more than in the excitement part. I think it's obviously hurting him on scorecards, and it's something that we gotta start to think about.
Yeah, that's a bit true. But if you look at Tim Bradley, he is a really tough fighter. I don't think he's got an excellent chin. I harken back to the Kendall Holt fight, where in the first or second round he was dropped by a punch that really would have kept 95% of boxers on the canvas. He's a tough guy. He's hard to get out of there. He's hard to even rock him or hurt him. You never see his eyes glazed or anything like that. So he's got a really good chin. He was going to survive round. And I don't even know if the prime Manny Pacquiao would have been able to get Tim Bradley out of there. He really is a really good, not defensive fighter, but a really tough fighter that's hard to get out of there.
Yeah, but if Manny, I think the misconception is Manny's got this, power punch. I don't think it's that. I think it's the punch that you don't see. I think Ricky Hatton is the greatest example. That knockout is the greatest example of Manny Pacquiao. And in order to get those, you got to engage, So, I think that again, that killer instinct is gone. But this past weekend we saw a fighter who I got to admit, after he won, after he beat Sebastian Zabik, I've seen this kid get to this next level. We were both kind of hesitant about him. I know you agree with me about, having young fighters get handed a title and then we're expected to watch them develop before our eyes. I always think of Andre Berto. And of course, Julio Cesar Chavez is who I'm talking about. But, man, I think he's evolved into a good fighter. As a matter of fact, I guess I'm the one of the only people on the planet that actually think that he's going to beat Sergio Martinez. What do you think?
If he beats him, he's going to beat him physically, not through better boxing skills, because he's going to come in as a light heavyweight, and he's going to be fighting a really small middleweight. I have questions. Sergio Martinez in the past, I think it looks more physically like he's fading than he actually is, because he boxes a little bit with his mouth open. He takes some breaks in there. And I don't know if he's going to be able to get away with that in, rounds 8 through 12 against a mauling Julio Cesar Chavez who's going to be coming forward. And it's like Andy Lee said, what happens when you can't hurt him and he keeps coming after you? Now, Sergio Martinez has showed in the past that, against Paul Williams and Kelly Pavlik, that he can box in the late rounds when he has to. He can switch styles. He can come in with game plan A from, the first 1 through 4 rounds, where he can be more offensive, more flashy, and then from rounds 5 through 9, he just got to kind of hang in there and, win a couple rounds, take a couple minutes off, and then rounds, the championship rounds, he's got to survive. He's got to get on his bike. He's got to counterpunch. So he's got to come in with 3 different kind of game plans, while Chavez is coming forward, hit the body, wear him down, couple low blows, couple elbows, push off, make it a rough, dirty fight. And he's going to have plenty of excuses to do that, because he's going to be talking about all the crap that Sergio Martinez talked to him, leading up to this fight, and he's going to want to make it dirty, make it rough. And if that fight happens, I wish that fight would happen at Alamo Dome, not Alamo Dome, I'm sorry, in that Dallas Stadium. It would be fantastic. That would be 90+ thousand fans, but it's going to be in Vegas. The judge, whoever the referee is, that could swing this fight. If you get Joe Cortez in there, who kind of like the Hatton against Mayweather, who breaks him up immediately, that's going to favor Martinez. So let's see who the referee is. There's going to be a lot of outside influences pulling on this fight.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think the Texas Boxing Commission should be under fire more than they are. Obviously the big talk right now about Julio Cesar Chavez is, it appears that he's once again left the building before he PP'd in the Cup.
I don't think he's on steroids or anything like that. I think they might be worried about diuretics. This is a guy who, if he puts on more muscle, which weighs more than, the water weight fat that he has, that's actually bad for him, because I don't know if he gets real muscular, like with steroids, he would have to go to super middleweight, because he barely gets on it. He barely makes it now on the day before the fight, getting down to 160 pounds. If he were to really bulk up with steroids, there's no way he could maintain 160. I think if they're worried about anything, it would be about diuretics.
The other day I was talking with someone on the phone, and we were talking about same-day weigh-ins, and I'm pro same-day weigh-ins, because, I say to myself, if we truly want to see who the greatest welterweight or the best welterweight is, or middleweight or whatever, a same-day weigh-in is going to give us that true weight, rather than a guy who physically can dry himself out. Right. So now
used to do it back in the day. Now the big guy is Julio Cesar Chavez. He's the guy that can, and Brandon Rios as well. They can shrink down literally to 2 weight classes below where they should be, and come in, 2 weight classes above where they're listed at on the day of the fight.
Right, which gives them so now, instead of boxing ability, the ability for your body to be able to dry out more, it becomes the edge. My question concerning Julio Cesar Chavez is, in the event that we did go to same-day weigh-ins, and let's say it becomes obvious that he cannot make 160 pounds anymore. Some people don't even think he could make 168 if he had the same-day weigh-in. How effective do you think he would be in the bigger weight classes against some of these top guys in the super middleweight and light heavyweight divisions? Is he just as dangerous as he is right now?
Well, super middleweight is so packed with talent. I don't think he beats Carl Frosch. I think those two are similar fighters style-wise, and Carl Frosch perfects that style a little bit better than Julio Cesar Chavez. He's also a little bit faster. I think mentally they're both on the same level. I really think that mentally Chavez Jr. is a fighter. He shows in there, He's willing to take the punch. He throws at the same time as his opponent. He's not just a leader. He's willing to exchange, simultaneously and take the shot. Andre Ward, I think, would beat him. Who else is there? That Thomas Ustian kid, that South African fighter. He's a big physical fighter. Those would all be great fights, and go a weight class above that. Chad Dawson, Jean Pascal. I think right now Chavez's big advantage is physically over these middleweights. It's not in his boxing ability yet. Look, Andy Lee, Irish here. I like him. I love him. John Duddy, same thing. Not fantastic boxers. These are, give one to take two kind of boxers. And he still won the first 3-4 rounds off of Chavez. So Martinez, I think he's going to win the first. If he wins 5 out of the first 6 rounds, he only has to get 2 more rounds in the last 6. So it's going to be tough on Chavez. And the thing is, will he stick to his game plan? Will he get frustrated and try to go for that one punch and knock out Sergio Martinez? If he does that, if he starts throwing less punches, looking for the perfect punch and not going volume and trying to pressure him and wear him down, he will not win that fight.
you look at the Andy Lee fight, and, put the Irish thing aside. I know Kevin McBride is one of your all-time favorites, but I mean, put that aside, and you look at Andy Lee, and really we saw the blueprint of how Chavez will beat the better, talented fighter. And now I could agree with you that Andy Lee seemingly had that fight in control, but what Chavez does is he lands a couple of those body shots. Now, Manny Stewart was getting frustrated with Andy Lee, saying, "Why aren't you boxing? Why aren't you boxing? You can outbox this guy all night long." Well, I'll tell you why he wasn't boxing after the 4th and 5th round, because those body shots started hurting him, and he couldn't move as much. And the same thing could happen with a Carl Froch. Carl Froch does one thing that's very bad. He keeps his hands down. And I don't think that now. Of course, I'm talking about body shots, and that's not going to affect that. But Chavez showed us that he can come up to the head now. He's developed that hook to the head, which is kind of a weird punch if you think about it. Usually hooks it to the body, but he's thrown it to the head, and he's leading with his right a little more too. I don't know. I think he's actually evolving into a real dominant fighter, and I'm impressed because I think he's exciting. And something I'm going to talk about later. We talk about Manny Pacquiao. We talk about Floyd Mayweather. They're two big names, marquee names, even beyond the boxing fan, right? But you know what? When you take those two names, and I'm not saying he's the next best one. I'm not saying that he's number 3 in terms of pound for pound. But who's got a bigger name than him?
Yeah, the only one that rivals is Canelo Alvarez. And looking at Chavez Jr., the one thing he did inherit looks like is his daddy's chin. Now, in order to beat Sergio Martinez, he has to do the other thing that his father did great. One of the most underrated things about Chavez, back in the day, was he cut off the ring. He was able to move laterally and not allow his opponents to escape. If Chavez Jr. doesn't have the same type of feet, he's gonna lose to Sergio Martinez. It's up to for him to win. He's gonna have to cut off the ring. So he's gonna have to, his feet are gonna have to win him this fight essentially against Sergio Martinez to put him in the position to wear Martinez down. If he can't track him down with his feet, he's never gonna hit him with his fist.
It's going to be an interesting fight. I can't wait for it. We're already
that tactically speaking, I mean, it should be fantastic. And if it comes down to 2 pay-per-views, between Saul Alvarez and Victor Ortiz and Julio Cesar Chavez against Sergio Martinez, I'm buying the Sergio Martinez fight. It won't even come down to the undercard fights, which usually it would.
And that's such a stupid move, not only to hurt your own pocketbook, but it's a slap in the face to boxing. I mean, to do that is terrible. And
I think on this one, Golden Boy is going to relent and have that fight, Alvarez against Ortiz, go to Showtime. I think that's. And, this way, they'll still have their fight card, and they get a top rank because they're going to hurt a little bit on pay-per-view sales. They're going to get a little bit less because they'll be on Showtime, but for free.
Speaking of Ortiz, he's in a big, tough fight this week, and I think it's a huge mistake for them to be talking about. Now, he's said all the right things in the press conferences and everything else, but I think it was a huge mistake for them to announce Ortiz as the opponent for Saul Alvarez prior to fighting Josito Lopez. Now, they did put a little blurb in there saying, well, should Josito Lopez win the fight, he's obviously going to get the shot at Saul Alvarez. All I can say...
I don't know about that.
Well, they said that.
They say it now, but when it actually happens, I don't know if they can sell it.
Why? Well, I mean...
Not on pay-per-view. I mean, come on, Josito Lopez, I love him. He's not a great fighter. He's a fun TV fighter. He's an ESPN Telefutura level fighter. He lost to Jesse Vargas in his last fight. It was a close fight, but he lost it. And also, he's just now moving up to this weight class. And his fight before this, he just moved up to that weight class. So basically, he's fighting. He says he's comfortable at the weight, but he's smallish at this weight. And granted, if he beats Ortiz, Ortiz runs hot and cold. So people are going to say, which Ortiz did he beat? I just don't think that's a sellable pay-per-view.
Well, the guy who beat the guy, I guess. But you're right.
Remember, Shane Mosley expected to be the guy after he beat, Oscar De La Hoya. He got to a good level, but he never became the guy. The next De La Hoya.
Well, the thing with Ortiz is he's obviously more popular. More people know of him because of who he's.
All those 24/7 episodes and all that stuff. And, going back to the Marcos Maidana fight, that made headlines. Granted, in the wrong way, but we know who this kid is.
Well, we know who Josito Lopez is, and you're right about the size. But I love this kid. You mentioned Jesse.
Yeah.
You mentioned the
Can't
Jesse.
say anything bad about him. He's fantastic.
Yeah, that Jesse Vargas fight. I thought Lopez won that fight. I love this kid. He's a true blue collar fighter. Does he have a chance against Ortiz?
Yeah, and if you look at his record, the previous fight he lost to that Edgar Santana, that was a majority decision. When he loses close. You're not going to blow this guy out, and Victor Ortiz is not going to blow him out either. I think this could go to a decision if there's no cuts or anything like that. Ortiz is a stronger guy, but you don't know which Ortiz is going to show up. That's always going to be the problem with Victor Ortiz. He runs hot and cold. Are you going to get the guy who stood in there and slugged it out and beat down Andre Berto, or are you going to get the head case that lost to the Floyd Mayweather and to Marcus Maidana? Earlier I said Josito Lopez is, a Televitor ESPN level guy. Well, Victor Ortiz is just a notch above. He's the A fighter against, a B fighter. And he's Showtime, HBO boxing after dark type level. He's just one level above. And if you look at the boxing skills, everything, speed-wise, he's just a notch above. Power-wise, he's just a notch above. And the one thing that Victor Ortiz has, he has that really short left hook on the inside. That is the punch that sets him apart. And he's going to land that punch. I think he can knock Josito Lopez down once or twice to make it really wide on the scorecards, but I don't think he's going to get him out of there. And unfortunately, he really has to look really, really good to make people think he's going to beat Canelo Alvarez. And if he struggles against Josito Lopez, it's going to make that next fight even harder to sell on pay-per-view. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a good, entertaining fight because Josito Lopez only makes entertaining fights, because he just doesn't have the defensive prowess. He's always going to get hit, and he's always going to look for the exchanges. And moving up another weight class, he's not going to be able to hurt Ortiz, and it's going to be a back-and-forth thing. I think maybe his corner might pull him out late, but I just don't see what strategy he can come in with because he's not a good boxer to outbox Ortiz. To take away Ortiz's physical advantages. There's just nothing I think he can do to stop that.
How about Humberto Soto against Lucas Matisse? That's a pretty tough one too, don't you think?
It is, and I think that comes down to body size as well. Lucas Matisse is a natural, welterweight or a junior welterweight, whereas Humberto Soto was at his best, I think, a junior lightweight. He was a really good lightweight. I think he made 4 title defenses there. And he comes from a boxing family. He does everything well in the ring. He can box, he can slug, he can counterpunch. But Lucas Matisse, I think he's underrated as far as boxing ability. If you look at the Zab Judah and Devon Alexander fights, those are competent defensive boxers, and he chased them down, and he knocked both of them down. I thought he beat both of them, but he didn't get the decision on the scorecards in either fight. He's an Argentine fighter coming to the USA. I think Matisse, from rounds 5 on, is going to start pushing Soto backwards, and Soto can box backing up, but I think he's just going to fade going down. And Lucas Matisse has the accuracy that I think some of the other fighters against Soto, who really was a favorite of mine until he got to lightweight, and he started becoming how did they say back in England, too big for his boots. He should have fought against Juan Marquez, but he didn't do that. He avoided some of the lightweights, Brandon Rios. There were some really good matchups that never happened there. So he lost some of the luster in my eyes, and I think Matisse is just his time now. And at 32, Soto might be slowing down. He has not fought against really elite opposition in his last 3 fights, and that's nothing to prepare him for against Matisse, who's going to be coming forward and really pressuring him. And I think because he is going to be coming forward, the judges are going to see that, they're going to reward him, and he's going to win the decision.
Tonight on Friday Night Fights, we actually have a pretty decent matchup. Michael Dallas Jr. against Javier Castro. Dallas, I love the kid because I love his manager there. What's her name?
Jackie Callan,
yeah, Jackie Callan. She's class act. Michael Dallas has suffered a couple of losses. He does at times to me. I mean, he shows me talent, but he also shows me lackadaisical times during the ring. I mean, sometimes during a fight, during a specific round, sometimes he just stops throwing punches, and he needs to change it.
Punch, I think. Yeah. And you know who beat him? Josito Lopez beat him.
Right.
And in that fight, I picked Mike Dallas to beat him because I thought he was a superior boxer. but Josecito Lopez stayed on top of him, and that's what you got to do with a really good counterpuncher like Dallas. 2 fights ago he lost against Christopher
Martin.
Was it Christopher Martin?
Well, I know he lost a close one. I don't have his.
Yeah, I thought he won the fight. Many people did think he won the fight, and that was a tough fight coming against his only real loss against Josecito Lopez. And he's just got with a new trainer. Well, actually, the last 3 fights he's been with Andre Ward's trainer. And I think you can see in the last 2-3 fights he has improved. He's not looking for the perfect punch anymore. Whereas he would look for the perfect punch, he would let 2 or 3. He wouldn't fill holes with a jab. He would get kind of lazy. And in this fight, I think you have to go with the superior fundamentals. This is really a counter puncher against a slugger. When you look at Vargas, he's just a Mexican knockout artist. There's nothing fancy about him. He comes straight ahead. He tries to land a looping right hand. He'll try to wear you down. And Dallas, if he can just stay away from him, move, counterpunch, and box for 10 rounds, he'll win this fight. And I think mentally he's rebounded from the loss to Josecito Lopez, and he should box his way to a 10-round decision win because Vargas really is. You can see if you see his power punches coming, you can absorb them. And I think Dallas has the eyes. He's going to see the punches come out, avoid them or roll with them or catch them with the shoulders. He does a little bit of that Floyd Mayweather, shoulder defense. And I think his fundamentals are going to get Dallas through this fight. Yeah, and
although Castro's he's got 22 knockouts on his resume, he gets hit. So if Dallas is disciplined in that fight, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be good, but
is a pretty good fight weekend. You got Rico Ramos fighting on Telefutura. The only thing is, when you look at the Telefutura and ESPN cards, the main events are great, but the openers are really, mismatches where they have a really good fighter, like John Molina, I think is the opener for Telefutura, and who's the opener in the ESPN?
Brandon Gonzalez.
Yeah, really good fighter, but the opponent really is
a bum, right? Well, I don't mean a bum by, I'm just saying he's not exactly a 6-4 record against Brandon Gonzalez, So, I mean, but I tell you, don't forget about the nail biter. I know that everybody on the planet wants to tune in to see Tony Grano against Dervell Touch of Sleep Williamson. Touch of Sleep should be still sleeping because this is a guy that I had on shows 10 years ago, and he was already close to 40. So I don't even know how old this guy is. He's up there, and Grano, in my opinion, is just a fraud. I mean, he's not even. He shouldn't even be. I don't even know how he's a main event. It's because Don King somehow got the rights to him. Because he won.
Not only is Don King not remembered anymore. I mean, pretty much irrelevant now. So are his fighters. That fight card. I mean, if you're in the area, I think it's a good fight card to attend just because, it's really packed. They got a lot of, it's one of old Don King's, he only throws, 3 events a year now, so he gets a lot of the fighters on these cards. So you'll get your money worth in terms of quantity, but not quality.
It's like going to that restaurant that you get all the people say how great the food is. Hey, it's a great place, really. Why? Oh, they give you so much to eat. Yeah, but I don't want a lot of garbage,
Good point. Yeah, I mean, I think you and me agree that Don King. Yeah, I think he's actually been good for boxing, and you have to look at him where, yes, maybe he rips off his fighters more than anybody else, but he also makes him a lot more money than anybody else. He really does still promote, and you miss that about boxing, and. Unfortunately, like I said, he only does 2-3 cards a year now, and it's a bit of a loss for boxing because when he comes to town, he brings a circus. He is the circus. He still makes boxing fun, and he promotes, which you don't see anymore.
Listen, when all is said and done, he's the greatest boxing promoter ever to live, really. And I don't care what anybody accomplishes from this day forward. This is a man that will go down in history as the greatest promoter. There's no question about it. It's funny. What a parallel it is to see Don King today doing almost identical to what fighters do. He doesn't know when to say when. He's in there with basically dealing with with, a fighter gets too old and he struggles. You think of Shane Mosley. You think of all these great fighters that didn't know when to say when, and their last performances weren't great. Well, that's what's happening to Don King right now. We're looking at these shows. They're club shows he's doing and everything else, but he still brings his flair. People are coming to see him, and when it's all said and done, and he finally hangs them up, and people get a chance to reflect, they'll know that Don King was the man.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison. I think I'm going to steal those lines for you. That's right, he is the old...
Well, at least give me credit for it, you bastard.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure, I'll do that. I'll say, some guy told me. No, but that is really... And unfortunately, unlike Julio Cesar Chavez and his son, Don King doesn't have a really good son who can walk in his shoes, because Carl King, I'm sorry, I forget who said it, but somebody said the kid couldn't manage a parking lot, and that's the way it looks, unfortunately.
Well, listen, Marty, guess what? We're not going to be able to do a show next week. I'm going to be doing another live broadcast out of Tampa, so we'll see you in 2 weeks, man.
Yeah, I'll go get a training tips from Floyd Mayweather then. Something to keep me active mentally. Drink, that's what I'll do. There you go.
No, you do. Get tough, man. Drink some tap water, man. Only true men can drink tap water, my friend.
Yeah, you're a little bit. Yeah, you're supposed to put a little bit of tap water in the scotch. You give it a little bit of life just beforehand.
No. I wouldn't ruin a good scotch with water. I just put.
No, you're supposed to get that little squirt.
No, I put ice.
Life a little bit. Not a handful, just a little squirt.
No, I put ice in my scotch and I let it.
No, you're supposed to. Yeah, that's watering it down. When you give it that little squirt,
Yeah, but I like it.
Talk about scotch here.
No. I like.
For the next 10 minutes.
I like it cold, so that's why I put the ice in. I let it. Get cold, and then I drink it. So
put it in the freezer beforehand. It's not like it's going to freeze.
That's what I need to do. I need to talk to a true Irishman to get all of the tricks. Oh, that's what I should do. Oh, okay. There you go. I'm going to try that. I'm going to. I don't know if my.
After 90 proof, it doesn't freeze.
I don't think my gallon size bottle that I go through. I don't think it will fit in my freezer.
You get it's in the plastic bottle. Right? That's how good it is.
Yeah. It's white lightning. But Marty. We'll talk to you next time, my brother.
Fantastic. I'll put it on my calendar that I got a day off. All right, man. Everybody enjoy the fights. It should be a good weekend.
All right, brother. Take care.
Yep.
That's my man, Marty Mulcahey, and we clearly miss him. He knows his stuff. I got to take a break. We'll be right back.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out his ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
Hit Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh?
What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C. sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. show. He's Billy C., and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C. first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Box with Billy C, a radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now channel, and if you don't have Fight Now, why? Call your local television provider. I don't care if it's cable or satellite. Tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and call them. You can find out all the information about Fight Now by visiting their website, www.fightnow.com. And speaking of Fight Now, don't forget, every night is Fight Night on Fight Now, 10 p.m. Eastern. Again, check out their website for the latest listing of what's going to happen tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, www.fightnow.com. We're going to finish up our mailbag. That's right, I got 2 more emails to read. We had Marty Mulcahey on and giving us his thoughts on a bunch of stuff. We hadn't had a chance to speak with him in a couple of weeks. And, man, did he just give me some great advice about my scotch, how to keep it cold. But anyway, Alex P., the other Alex, who signs this one, the sane Alex, and he writes, I think if Alex P. watches Pacquiao-Bradley enough times, he's eventually going to have Bradley winning by knockout. He says you have to stick with your original score. Watching it after the fact is only good for conversation and nothing else. That's the key. And, I think Alex's point, and I don't mean you, Alex T., I mean my man, Alex T., Alex Papali. His point was that, the being subjective and everything else, if you go in with the mindset that the closer rounds are going to be, given to one other guy, one side of it, and in his case, when he scored it with the sound off, and he said before, and he said it on the show that, any close round rather than lean towards Pacquiao, just, hypothetically, he's going to lean towards Bradley, and the score came out that much closer. And then Marty just kind of backed that up, saying, if judges were criticized for the Manny Pacquiao against Juan Manuel Marquez fight, maybe that could explain why they might have chosen to give the closer rounds to Bradley than Pacquiao. But I agree with Alex P. in a sense that we don't get to watch it over and over and over and critique it. Unfortunately, they're scoring it and they're handing in their score at the end of each round. So that's the end of that. But good point, Alex P. You're right. I mean, Alex T. You're right. Alex P. may have lost his mind. But anyway, he says, in other news, he says, did you see the HBO feature on Real Sports about Nick Mangold's sister? Now, first of all, for all you guys that don't know who Nick Mangold is, he's the center of the New York Jets, and he's got a sister that, let me continue reading this. He says, her name is Holly, and she's an Olympic weightlifter. She's competing in the 2012 games. She lifts 275 pounds. She weighs 275 pounds, and she's strong as an ox. She's pretty, but she's a big girl. Great attitude, though. She's a great kid. Hope she wins the medal. Figured you'd be interested being a Jets fan. Yes, she's an Olympic weightlifter. And I've known about her because Nick Mangold has mentioned her a lot. She also played football. And it's funny, Nick Mangold is obviously an all-pro center for the Jets. He played for Ohio State and was a superstar there. And every time he's always asked about his family, he says, I'm not even the best athlete in my family. My sister is. So now, I don't know. I've never really – I thought she looked just like Nick Mangold without the beard. So I don't know. I gotta see a recent picture of her to determine whether I think she's attractive or not. But yes, it's a good thing. I did not see the sports, the Real Sports thing on her. I really, I don't really watch that stuff anymore because I got so turned off by 24/7 with Mayweather. It's affected me. I don't even watch any of them. But anyway, thanks for the email, Alex T. I was going to say Alex P, but the sane Alex. And finally, I got one more email, and this one comes from my man Blakely. And he says, the fight people haven't been talking very much about the Arce-Rojas fight a couple of weeks ago. The thing that bothers me is that you've talked about this a bunch of times. He's saying I've talked about this a bunch of times. Is that there seems to be this trend of veteran fighters trying to find their way out of a fight when they find out it's going to be harder than they thought it would be. I'm not saying Arce could have continued with a broken eardrum, but I am saying that he should have kept his focus on his opponent when he was hit low instead of looking to the ref to help him out. if he had just kept fighting, the punch in his ear might not have happened. So instead of a loss, he gets out with a no contest. I don't think Arce, who gave everything when he fought, I don't think the Arce who gave everything when he fought Victor Chinian would have fallen apart so easily. The other fighters who come to mind as having looked for a quick escape is Bernard Hopkins, Nate Campbell, Robert the Ghost Guerrero, Kermit Cintron, Hasim Rahman, and Evander Holyfield. He's got another point here. Let me comment on those. First of all, I agree with all of those fighters, all looking for ways out, trying to, beat the system. They get a no contest, they still get paid. They figure they'd come back. In Nate Campbell's case, he in his mind, he thought he was going to get another fight with Timothy Bradley, and it never worked out for him. As a matter of fact, he never got any money out of that deal. He had owed some money. Robert the Ghost Guerrero, listen, I love Robert the Ghost Guerrero. He's a class act in and out of the ring. But the fight that you're referring to against Jordan, I totally agree, 100%. He's I can't see, and there wasn't even any blood coming out of his eye. Kermit Cintron, I don't care what anybody says, he dove through the ropes, man, and he clearly was looking to get out of it. The big question mark about Kermit Cintron is why the fight was even. The fight was even. I mean, it wasn't like he was sustaining a beating. Robert Ghost Guerrero, you can say to yourself, well, you know what? He had a lot of things going on outside of the ring. Maybe he just didn't want to be there, and you got to kind of give him a pass on that one. Nate Campbell clearly was looking for another payday. He had money on his mind, and that's what drove him, because he's a warrior. There's no question about that. And I wish I would have gotten to see Nate Campbell fight Timothy Bradley to the end, because I think it would have done one of two things. It would have helped Nate big time in his career, should he have won, or it would have maybe made Timothy Bradley a little more popular going into this Pacquiao fight. I mean, now he's probably at the height of his popularity because of Pacquiao, but I thought Nate Campbell, Timothy Bradley could have been a good one. As far as Hasim Rahman, yes, there's no question about that. Evander Holyfield against Sherman Tank Williams, yes, there's no question about it. And, of course, Bernard Hopkins. He's the biggest fraud there is in terms of, I don't mean fighter, I don't mean all-time great, I mean in terms of trying to get, an easy W, an easy paycheck. There's no question about it. He's tried it a couple of times, the most recent with the shoulder, of course. So, yeah, I agree with those. As far as Arce goes, you make an interesting point. If he didn't, grab his you-know-whats and, turn his head and get that punch to his eardrum, maybe he doesn't even get that eardrum shot. However, in that particular fight, he got the low blow. As he's reaching for his privates, he gets a headbutt right in his face. And as he turns his back, he gets the kidney punch and then the shot to the ear, all in a matter of less than 2 seconds. And, people were critical that the referee didn't get there in time. I don't blame the referee because I like referees that aren't in our picture all the time. I like referees who let the fighters fight. And, just like all the defending people of Floyd Mayweather with Victor Ortiz, when they say protect yourself at all times, that's a rule that we got to tell Arce. Hey, dude, protect yourself at all times. You get hit low, don't look for the referee to help you out. I mean, too many fighters now are doing that. You got to fight, you fight. If your opponent elbows you, if your opponent hits you in the privates, if he headbutts you or whatever, listen, keep fighting. Because if the referee catches it, you hope he's going to give a warning. You hope he's going to do something about it. But don't look to the referee. Don't look to the referee, because we don't know if the referee missed it. We don't know if he's not going to call it. We don't know anything. And I think that Jorge Arce is a perfect example, and it should be a fight that fighters should watch, and they should say to themselves, this is what you do not want to do. You do not want to, lunge forward or whatever and hope, grabbing his privates going forward, which kind of led to those other things. I mean, the bottom line is get yourself in a protective situation and hope that the referee saw it, especially if you're in pain from a low blow. So, and as far as Jorge Arce getting out of the fight, It certainly did look like it. I can't argue that. I'm a huge Jorge Arce fan. I've seen this guy. He's a warrior, man. I mean, he's a throwback fighter, 100%. And I hate to even think that he was trying to get out of that fight. And every so often you got to give a fighter a pass. We just admitted that maybe Robert Dos Guerrero gets a pass in his fight. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to comment on it, except I agree with, yes, protect yourself at all times. Don't look for the referee for help. But who knows? We'll never know with Arce. Hopefully they'll have a rematch. But we all know one thing, that Rojas was there to fight. And if Arce didn't think that on the onset, he certainly did after that first round. I mean, it looked like that fight was going to be over quick. And Rojas gets up, and many people think that he still won the round, even with the knockout, even with the knockdown. So the final part of the question here is: how do you think Julio Cesar Chavez is going to do when he moves up to super middleweight, and he doesn't have a size advantage? Do you think he beats fighters like Kessler or even Kelly Pavlik? If you think he'll beat Martinez at middle, do you also think he would beat all the top middleweights, or just Martinez in particular because he's small? That's a great question, and Marty and I were talking about it. The thing is this: I think he's evolved into. The premier middleweight. Now, Sergio Martinez is going to be a big test for him. I'm just going to look right now at our current, the Billy C Boxing ratings, our current middleweight rankings right now is we have Sergio Martinez number 1, of course, and we have Julio Cesar Chavez number 2. Behind him, when you look at the next 8 guys, you got Felix Sturm, Daniel Giel, Dimitri Priog, Hasim the Jam, Kenny, and who knows, I probably just murdered that, Gennady Golovkin, Kerry Hope. Now, Kerry Hope is only in there because he had upset Proska. Matthew Macklin and Peter Kid Chocolate Quinlan. Those are our top 10. And to be honest with you, I see Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. beating all of them, with the exception of maybe Sergio Martinez. Now, Sergio Martinez, you have to give credit to because of his style, his conditioning, his hand speed, and all of that. But I think that the size is going to make a difference. And, it's like this. It's like what I say about the Klitschkos. And I know my man Andre is seething right now because he knows I'm going to say something about Klitschkos. But listen, I love the Klitschkos. All right, I think that they're going to go down in history as the greatest, brother heavyweight tandem that the sport's ever seen. They're going to go down in history as being all-time greats. They're both going to end up in the Hall of Fame. There's no question about it. And I've also made the argument that, and I know this hurts us old-timers big time, but I've also made the argument that there's a very good chance if somebody invented a time machine and we could go back in time and put them against some of, like, my all-time favorite fighters, like the Rocky Marcianos and the Jack Dempseys and the Sonny Listons and so on and so forth, that they would have given all those great fighters a hard time. And the reason being is because of the size. That's it. They don't do anything super fantastic. Yes, Vladimir has a great jab. Yes, they got power right hands, but that's it. Yes, they're athletic. They can move. Okay, but so does most fighters. I just don't think that if you take the size away from the Klitschkos, that they would be that dominating, okay? That's why I hate to have them in our pound-for-pound rankings. Now, we have them in our pound-for-pound rankings because we have a panel, and I was outvoted because if it were up to me, he wouldn't even be. Vladimir wouldn't even be in the pound-for-pound rankings, okay? Because my opinion is that if Vladimir Klitschko, the pound-for-pound rankings are set up where you give the fighter the same attributes he has and you put him in a different weight class, is he still as good? And when you look at guys like Floyd Mayweather, if he was a 240-pound guy, 6'7", and he had the same hand speed and all his attributes that he has now at whatever weight class, welterweight, junior, middle, whatever he wants to fight at, he would be the greatest heavyweight of all time. If you take a guy like whoever, and you move him up. If you take a Manny Pacquiao and you move him up to heavyweight, and now he's 6'5", 235 pounds of chiseled muscle, and he's got the same hand speed and crazy angles and everything else. Great heavyweight. If you take Klitschko and you take his attributes right now, which is a jab and a right hand, and you shrink him down to a welterweight, how good is he? Remember, what he's doing now is he's fighting guys that he's got a 3 to 6 inch height advantage, where he's got a 20 to 40 pound weight advantage over. So when you take that out of the mix, now you're dealing with the same size guy in front of you. You're dealing with a welterweight. If Vladimir Klitschko was a welterweight and he's fighting against another welterweight, well, that means they both weigh 147. So even if he had a height advantage, he's going to be a skinny guy. And he's not going to have, it's not the same fighter. So, in that case, that's why I can't put them in, when I do my own personal pound for pound, I judge a pound for pound fighter based on that fact, that if you give him the same attributes and you put him in any weight class, he's just as dominating. It's easier to say that with the lower guys because, they're more skilled than most of the heavyweights. And that's my argument there. Now, with that said, as far as Julio Cesar Chavez is concerned, I think that he's developing skill. I think that his style is pretty good. It's entertaining. I think he's learning on the job, so to speak. I'm not a big fan of that, but he's learning on the job. He does cut the ring off well. He does have some decent head movement. He does work the body fantastic. We know that, and he's starting to mix in some other punches which have been effective. So with all that said, I still believe that what's helping him the most right now is his size among the middleweights, and it would be interesting to see how he fares against the bigger guys like super middleweights or even light heavy. So we'll have to wait and see. He's still a kid, and I'm sure he's going to be moving up in weight. Right now, as far as Kessler, I think Kessler is an overrated fighter. I would like to see Carl Froch and Kessler fight again. I think Carl Froch is an underrated fighter, so I'd love to see that matchup again. As far as Kelly Pavlik goes, I'll tell you right now, I think Chavez Jr. right now, that's if they fought at super middleweight, would beat Kelly Pavlik. I don't think Kelly Pavlik is the same fighter at all since Bernard Hopkins lost. He's changed. He's not the same guy. Don't judge his wins over his last two opponents as, that's Kelly Pavlik, because it's just not. It's just not. I mean, Scott Sigmund or Sigmund Freud or whatever his name is. I mean, come on. No disrespect to him, but come on. What was the other guy? Aaron, Aaron, or I don't know. Again, these aren't opponents that are world beaters or anything. They got great records, or they have acceptable records or whatever, but they're not exactly tough fighters. But anyway, the WBC has ruled on the Chisora issue, and finally Derek Chisora has made a couple of statements about this. Now, in case you forgot, the WBC has suspended Derek Chisora. He's not allowed to fight in any WBC fights. One of the criteria that the WBC has issued to Derek Chisora is that he's supposed to go under a anger management program before he can even request a reinstatement to the WBC. Obviously, Derek Chisora has said, F you to the WBC, because he's fighting in a pretty well-anticipated and popular fight coming up in a couple of weeks in July against David Haye. And quite honestly, the WBC, my question to you, WBC, is who the hell do you think you are? I mean, you're a sanctioning body. You're not the rule of boxing. Now, all that the WBC is saying is that, hey, we're just not going to let you fight in any of our sanctioned fights, which is cool. We can't criticize them for that. But what I found interesting is the response from Derek Chisora. He says, his team. He says, the response to the WBC is heavy-handed and inconsistent with the approach they have taken over other fighters. And I love this, and I'm going to read it, and then we're going to take a break, and I'm going to finish up my thought. The WBC did not take away Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s belt after he pleaded guilty to beating his ex-girlfriend and the mother of his children. He also retained his welterweight title, and the WBC went on to allow him to fight for the WBC belt against Miguel Cotto on May 5th. His sentence for the crime being put back to allow him to do so. An interesting thing that I want to add to that is they also haven't stripped him of his welterweight belt yet. So the WBC has actually went against two of their own rules when it pertained to Floyd Mayweather Jr. The first one is, he's got a legal issue, and they didn't prevent Floyd from fighting for any title. And the second one is, I think, and I think Murphy, he's in the chat room all by himself, just me and him. I think he backed me up when I said this a couple of weeks ago, that I believe you got 10 days. From what I understand, I think you got 10 days from the WBC to decide which division you want to fight in if you should obtain two belts. And you're supposed to, give up the one that you decide not to fight in. And they haven't enforced that rule with Mayweather either. So maybe bottled water does have a big, powerful role in boxing.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
Mike Tyson looked like he put on some pounds. He was fat. He went into McDonald's and he just said to them, hey, give me 6 of everything on the menu. He put on 2 watches and covered 2 time zones. I'm talking fat here. Got on a scale the other day and it said, come on, one of you guys got to get off. Last thing I heard is that he jumped into the ocean and he left a ring around the continent. He's fat.
Boxing
with Billy C.
Now back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the #1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
St. Jimmy's coming down across the alleyway, up on the boulevard like a zip gun on parade. Lights on the silhouette, he's disappointed at coming at you on the count of 1.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local television provider right now and tell them that you want it. All the information about the channel can be found on their website, www.fightnow.com. Yes, Aaron Jacko. Murphy's correcting me. And he writes, the WBC rules are written so loosely that it's a joke. They contradict each other. You can look at them online, so check that out. And I just want to say something. I'm not a big fan of all these sanctioning bodies, but I really believe that out of the 5 major ones, WBC, WBA, IBF, they're garbage. They've become jokes to me, and I got something I want to talk about in a second here. But they've become big time jokes to me. But I enjoy the IBO, and I think the WBO is actually, now nobody gave them much credit when they first hit the scene, but I really think that they're good. But I'm about to say something that is going to shock the hell out of all of you. I had the privilege of meeting with the president of the WBF, now the World Boxing Federation, okay? There's a long history about that. It was sold, and there's actually... the name was changed to World Boxing Foundation, but now there's the federation is back or whatever. And for the most part, for years, everybody laughed at them, including myself. But let me tell you, they've revamped it, and some of the goals that they have set forth couldn't be better for the sport. I'm actually trying to get some of that stuff, and I actually want to help them a little bit because. First of all, they do not believe in any interim belts and all of that stuff, and they only believe in having one title holder for the divisions and just a lot of old time stuff. And they're really starting to, I think they're starting to move forward. And I personally am going to keep an eye on them because I would love to have a reputable sanctioning body. Listen, we got to have somebody sanctioning fights. I certainly am not an advocate for too many sanctioning bodies because I think that half of them should go. But one of the things we definitely need is we need a strong sanctioning body in terms of who's ranked, who's a ranked fighter, who gets a chance at fighting a title, and how many titles do they offer. With the WBC, they criticize interim belts, so they rename theirs to silver. They criticize super belts, and they rename theirs to diamond. So and then they have all the other ones: Intercontinental, Continental, North American, Pacific. It goes on and on and on. So they're a joke. And the Chisora team went also to say, we're not surprised by the decision, Inspector Derek, to be heavily sanctioned by the WBC because the chairman of the British Boxing Board of Controls, which is the BBBOC, his name is Charles Giles. He happens to be the vice president of the WBC. And guess what? He's the vice chairman of the European Boxing Union. All three of those sanctioning bodies were the ones that all came down hard on Chisora. So what does that tell you about the WBC? And yes, I was giving him kudos yesterday for the scoring thing and everything else. But what does that tell you about the WBC? And what does it tell you about the fact that their strength isn't maybe as great as they think? You know why? Because look what's happened. The WBA, who I don't put much value in, they are sanctioning the card of Derek Chisora and David Haye. They actually are putting the heavyweight fighters back on. The world championship between Povetkin and Rahman, which is a joke in itself, but still, remember, they were saying that they weren't going to do it, now that they are. And the IBF, I got some sad news. Now, Randall Baily just beat Mikey Jones, right? Mike Jones. And nobody gave Randall Baily a chance. I said on this show, everybody better watch out for Randall Baily. I couldn't stand the broadcast team because all they did was criticize Randall Baily and how boring he was and everything else. But let me tell you something. Randall Baily, every fight I've ever seen Randall Baily in is a blueprint, spitting image of the fight that he fought against Mike Jones. Same exact way. Are they interesting? Are they exciting? Are they action-packed? No, and no. Okay? But you know what happens? They certainly become exciting when Randall Baily knocks out his opponent, and you can't complain about the knockout that he did on Mike Jones. The first knockdown wasn't nothing special, but that uppercut, I'm surprised Mike Jones' head didn't come off his shoulders. I've never seen a more devastating punch. Now, with that said, Randall Baily, they put out a presser yesterday, and talk about blunders of blunders of blunders. In boxing today, first of all, we all admit it's about the money, right? It's about the money. And, listen, a fighter is supposed to build himself up and get an opportunity, and then they make money, okay? Now, what's happened in the sport of boxing is the fact that we have promoters and managers and fighters that are constantly looking at easy ways to build up their record so that they become a valuable fighter. When you get a certain amount of wins, you get into that class, and you build yourself up from club fights to maybe an ESPN fighter to a cable network fighter to a pay-per-view, and you're making money, right? So, that's the goal. But what's happening now, and which has been a pretty common move in the sport for the last 10, 15 years, is that they basically pad a fighter's record, and they get to that magic number. There's so many examples of it today. The best one that comes to mind, and he's trying to do it quietly, is the kid, the Olympian, that's a heavyweight, Deontay Wilder. This is a guy that hasn't fought not one good fighter yet, and he's already got 20-something wins or whatever. Now Randall Baily, he took the tough road. There's no question about it. This is a guy that's sitting on a 43-win, 7-loss record. He was stopped a few times, 37 knockouts. This is a guy that is no spring chicken. He's 30. I think he's 37 years old or 36 years old, something like that. He's been around for a long time. Now, where's the blunder? Yesterday they released a press release, and they start 10. Now, I'm not going to blame Randall Baily because that this didn't come from him. But his manager, which his name is Cy Stern, he came out and they released a press release yesterday. And they're calling out Floyd Mayweather, right? Now, first of all, No disrespect to Bailey, but Floyd Mayweather is not stupid. He's not going to let Randall Bailey get close to him. There's no way that Bailey can beat Mayweather. That's the last fight that you would ever want to see, that we would want to see. Mayweather knows that. Mayweather's picking fights that people want to see so he can make more money after a while. After all, he's got to stock up on bottled water, gourmet food. So, I mean, the bottom line is this. Randall Bailey and his team came out and they said, we want to fight anybody, but we're not fighting for no chump change. What does that mean? That means they just scared to hell. They just scared away opportunities, man. They even threw a number out there. They even threw a number that said that they were offered in Europe $500,000 to fight, and they laughed at it. So here's the situation. Why do I think they made a mistake? Because they're putting all the value in the IBF belt. Their line of thinking is everybody wants his belt, so they're going to have to come to me to get it, and in order to have me fight them, they better open up the checkbook. Here's the situation. The IBF is going to let them pick a fight with whoever they want. They only have less than 6 months to do that. Then they're going to inform them that they have a mandatory fight against whoever. Then they have to find a promoter to put on that fight. If they don't find a promoter, then the fight goes to purse bid. To anybody can bid the fight. If nobody has an interest in it and they bid $100,000, well, guess what Randall Bailey's fighting for? He's fighting for whatever the percentage for the champion is. Okay, that's number one. Number two, if he doesn't take the fight, they strip him of the belt. There's no value in the championship belts anymore. That's what's happened. There's no friggin' value. So what Randall Bailey and his team did by putting a price tag, saying that they'll fight anybody, but you better come here with money, they just shot themselves in the foot. In case Cy Stern doesn't know how to negotiate, here's how you should have done it, Cy. You should have said, Randall Bailey wants to fight anybody. He's willing to put his title on the line. Give us a call. Let's talk. Let them come to you and make a deal. It's called negotiation. You don't throw out a number and get people that you're telling them basically that you want $1 million or more to fight. Who's going to fight Randall Bailey? Randall Bailey's a dangerous guy. So you're putting all your eggs in the basket of the IBF belt, and you think that belt is going to draw so many people from the welterweight division, and they're going to want that belt? I mean, and they're willing to open up their checkbook for it? They're willing to fight a guy that he almost took Mike Jones's head off? We look at the welterweight division. You got Timothy Bradley, and Manny Pacquiao. Timothy Bradley and Manny Pacquiao are either going to fight each other or one of them is going to fight Floyd Mayweather. So forget about forget about Randall Bailey. The bottom line is they don't care about that IBF belt. Neither one of them. So scratch him off. Victor Ortiz, maybe. But you think Golden Boy's going to spend that kind of money? We'll have to wait and see how Ortiz does. He's already got the fight lined up at junior middleweight against Saul Alvarez. So, Victor Ortiz, Andre Berto, I don't know. Is he still on the roids? Who knows what's going on with Andre Berto? And then you got the bottom half. Kell Brook, Paulie Malignaggi, Devon Alexander, Selkirk Iden, Mike Jones again, a rematch with Mike Jones. All those fighters aren't going to – none of the promoters that are involved with those fighters are going to pay $1 million for Randall Bailey, let alone for that IBF belt. Listen, that was a poor move by Cy Stern to put it out there. This goes to show you that, there's a lot of people in this business that don't know what the hell they're doing. And you got a guy that's a champion, a guy that arguably has the knockout of the year so far, and you just shot him in the foot, and you're going to end up taking some bogus paycheck for a mandatory fight just to keep the title in hopes that somebody's going to want to fight you. Stupid move by Cy Stern, in my opinion. Great move by two promoters I generally don't like, and that's and not for anything other than, well, Dan Goosen I have nothing against personally. I just don't like his the way he doesn't really have the big fights. As far as Gary Shaw goes, he's not exactly a stand-up guy, at least dealing with me. And they're very similar, but I got to give them both credit in this case, and their fighters, Chad Dawson and Andre Ward. Andre Ward, of course, with Goosen, and Chad Dawson with Gary Shaw. These two guys are signed, sealed, and delivered September 8th in California. They're going to be fighting each other I love this. I love it because we have two young fighters in their primes fighting each other. And you know what makes this story even better is the fact that, we got a weight issue. You got one guy that's a super middleweight, one guy that's a light heavyweight, and they're coming down and they're fighting each other. Chad Dawson's getting some credit there. So, and Chad Dawson, quite honestly, we got to see where he's at. I mean, this was a guy that we had up on a pedestal, and then unfortunately he had to fight, all the old guys for years, basically. So we're finally getting him to see. We're finally going to be able to get to see him fight a young fighter in his prime, in Andre Ward, and likewise. Now we can't complain about Andre Ward. Andre Ward has fought everybody. There's only one guy in boxing today across the board that that's fought tougher opposition, in my opinion, and that's Carl Froch. And Andre Ward beat Carl Froch. Now, I've said a million times that I don't think Andre Ward has it, whatever it is. He doesn't have that charisma. I don't know. He's a great guy in the ring. He's a great guy out of the ring. He's got all his talent. He's got it all. He got a full arsenal. He's got speed. He's got defense. He's got footwork. He's an exceptional fighter. He just doesn't have it. He doesn't have the fan appeal. And Chad Dawson, I've always thought was overrated, to be honest with you. I never saw the big intrigue with him. I see him fighting, below his abilities. I see a guy in Chad Dawson that I think we haven't even seen the best of Chad Dawson yet. And I'm hoping that Andre Ward brings that out in Chad Dawson. I don't have to worry about Andre Ward. He's always going to give us his all. So I think we've got a good fight. The sad thing about it is that, we as boxing fans are the only ones that really can appreciate this fight. The marginal fan, the fan that goes and buys the Manny Pacquiao or Floyd Mayweather broadcasts or fights, I should say, or buys a ticket for them, or even Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., they might not even know about this fight. It's up to us to take this fight. First of all, we got to help. And although I'm not a big guy that wants to help, Gary Shore or Dan Goosen, in this particular case, I think we need to do our job as fans and as advocates for the sport to promote this. And what I mean by this is, if you live in the area, if you live in the Oakland, California area, buy a ticket. Plan on attending this event. If you're not in the area, make sure you mark it down in your calendar and you watch it on whatever channel it's going to be on. I think it's going to be on HBO. But, you watch it. Or maybe it's Showtime. I don't know. Where is it? Is it on HBO? Yeah, it should be. It should be on HBO. So, make sure you watch it. And for all the writers or wannabe writers out there, or anybody that's got websites, or they do in your forums, whatever you do, talk about it. Talk about this fight, man. September 8th, it's going to be a good fight. We got to get the word out. This is the kind of fight that should be the norm, not the exception. We should be seeing young fighters fighting each other more often than not. And the sad part about this whole situation is the fact that, only the diehard fans are going to know about it. Listen, we got some fights this weekend. I don't have time to really break them all down, but I'm just going to mention them and give you my predictions real quick. ESPN, Brandon Gonzalez against Eli Ogostoma. Listen, this is one of the easiest picks you could ever take. Eli Ogostoma is 6-4. He's only got 3 knockouts. He's taking on undefeated Flawless Gonzalez. They call him Brandon Flawless Gonzalez. He's undefeated, 15-0 with a draw. Brandon Gonzalez is going to win. Michael Dallas Jr. against Javier Castro. Another decent fight. Dallas Jr.'s got a couple of losses. He's got that draw. He's 18-2 with a draw with 7 knockouts. He's managed by, I love her, Jackie Callan. I can't say enough positive things about Jackie Callan. I love her. And, she's involved with Mike Dallas. He's taking on a knockout guy in Javier El Zorro Castro, who's 27 wins, 4 losses, a couple of 22 knockouts. This is make or break it for Dallas. I think Michael Dallas Jr. has to win this fight. He's getting an opportunity to, obviously he's a main event on ESPN, but he's getting an opportunity to get out of that ESPN level. And they've been trying to let him get out of it. And every time he gets a chance, he something happens. He comes up with a loss. This isn't a layup fight for him. But I'm picking Dallas to win the fight But I think that he's got to do more than just win. He's got to win the fight convincingly, and he's got to do it in an impressive fashion. He's also got to do it in an exciting fashion. And I think if he can accomplish all three of those things, win exciting, and win, and impressively, I think he may get out of that ESPN Max rut. On Showtime, we got Victor Ortiz against Josito Lopez and Humberto Soto, Lucas Matisse. Lucas Matisse, he's been robbed a couple of times and everything. Humberto Soto is the older fighter, moving up in weight. Matisse is a little bigger. He claims that his losses have made him a better fighter. Humberto Soto has had many chances. He's a quality fighter. It's a tough one to pick. And to be honest with you, I think that I think it's going to be a close fight. I would like to see Soto win, but I have a feeling Matisse is going to win. As far as Victor Ortiz and Josito Lopez, no one loves Josito Lopez more than me. No one loves Josito Lopez more than me. I love this kid. This kid is everything I wish that all boxers were. He's willing to fight anybody, anywhere, anytime, just like the shirt that the fraud wears, BJ Flores, except the difference is Josito Lopez does fight anybody, anyplace, anytime. Marty made an interesting point this morning. He said Josito Lopez is kind of moving up 2 weight classes to fight Victor Ortiz. Victor Ortiz has already signed to fight Saul Alvarez at a weight class above. You got to assume Victor's going to be big for this fight. If Victor Ortiz is telling the truth and he's not looking past Josito Lopez, he's going to beat Josito Lopez because he's bigger, he's stronger, and all that stuff. And Lopez is going to be there for him. He's a stand in front of you kind of a fighter. And Victor Ortiz is going to win triumphantly and move on to Saul Alvarez. If Victor Ortiz, even for a little bit, even for just a little teeny smidgen, takes Josito Lopez lightly, Josito Lopez is going to shock everybody and upset Ortiz. How do I think it's going to go? I'm picking Ortiz. I think that Ortiz is looking for his fight against Saul Alvarez and ultimately a rematch against Floyd Mayweather. I think that he is focused, although he does have a lot of things going on in his young life right now in terms of business and everything else. I think he's going to be focused, and I think that his size is going to be a little too much for my man Josito Lopez. So I'm picking Victor Ortiz. Rico Ramos against Efrain Esquives. Rico Ramos needs to perform well. I think he's going to win. I don't even think it's a tough fight. As far as Tony Grano against Devel Tetchisleep Williamson, that's Don King's card down at the Hard Rock. I can't stand Tony Grano. The guy doesn't train. He walks around like he's famous. When he's in Connecticut and stuff. I'm going for the old guy for no other reason other than I just think Tony Grano's bad for the sport. I mean, those kinds of guys. I mean, he's a professional opponent. I'm rooting for Tetchisleep Williamson, but Grano's probably going to win because Tetchisleep's got to be well into his 40s. He's got to be at least 43 years old. So those are my picks. I'll take Grano, but I'll be rooting for Williamson. I'm taking Rico Ramos. I'm taking Lucas Matisse over Humberto Soto, but I'll be rooting for Soto. I'm taking Victor Ortiz over Josito Lopez, but I'm rooting for Lopez. I'm going to take Brandon Gonzalez over Eli Augustama, and I'm taking Mike Dallas over Javier Castro. Those are my quick picks. Now, I got Dave Murphy is in the chat room saying that Soto should beat Matisse. He thinks he'll outbox him. I think Matisse is too big. That's the only reason why I'm leaning towards him, but I'm rooting for Soto. He also wants to know he's talking about Deontay Wilder, but he also says what is it with the IBF belt that makes people think everyone values it? Bailey's manager's making the same mistake Bundage did. Winning the IBF doesn't mean you're on the same level as a Manny Pacquiao or any other champ at 147. I don't think anybody does put the value on that belt, Dave. I think that, the only people putting the value on it are the guys that hold it. because generally the IBF belt kind of goes to fighters that, they're the obscure champion. They're the guy that you say, oh, he's a champion, like Cornelius Bundrich. Now the thing about K9 is that he beat Corey Spinks. Corey Spinks was a name with the belt, but nobody cares. The belts have, listen, Mayweather has helped us. We got to give Floyd the credit there for helping us shed the value of the belt. At least he doesn't need it. At least Manny doesn't need it. Those two guys don't need it. And maybe the powers that be, the television networks and the promoters, are realizing that if they match good enough fights together, they don't need a belt. Like Victor Ortiz, Josito Lopez, there's no belt on the line there, or probably, maybe there is, I don't know. But, I don't know how it could be. Victor Ortiz, his last fight, he didn't win, so he lost his belt, didn't he? It wasn't his last fight, Mayweather? Wasn't that Ortiz's last fight? So, come on, man. He's supposed to have the rematch with Berto. Maybe there is a vacant belt that's on the line there, But, look at Khan. Amir Khan was, he put value in the belt. You see, what's happening is the networks and the fighters are putting the values in the belt. But great. You want to put the value in the belt, you're paying the sanctioning fee and all that happy crap. But in Randall Bailey's case, he's one of these dangerous fighters. He's almost 40 years old. Yeah, he doesn't know how to box. He's got one thing. He's knockout punch, but he's a freakish knockout puncher. It's all about risk versus reward. Reward is the cash. Reward is the cash, man. And the point is you're not going to risk losing to fight a guy like Randall Bailey and pay him big money, all for the big prize of the IBF belt. I'm sorry, man. It ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. And the only way it's going to happen is if he gets forced to fight a couple of mandatories, gets another year or two older, and he's still got the belt, then maybe we'll have some guy, some young fighter that's backed by Top Rank or Golden Boy that can, figure out a marketing strategy where the IBF belt will pay them off, and it'll be enough. I don't mean the organization paying them off. I mean, marketing it in a way where they can, get the revenue back for it, where it could justify throwing Randall Bailey a big check. But the problem is that the point A, where he's at now, to get to that point B, which is the big payday, we don't know how long it's going to be. And by his stupid manager, Cy Stern, for saying what he said, by putting a price tag on it, he's basically just scared away anybody that isn't scared of Bailey. He should have done it in a different way. This just shows you that the guy is either too greedy, trying to get, the biggest purse he can for his fighter, which ultimately means more money for himself, or he just doesn't know the business. You got to be cool. You got to keep your mouth shut. You got to wait for the offer to come in. First you got to have somebody that's interested. Then you figure out how interested is he. So big mistake by Cy Stern, all for the IBF belt. Come on, man.
Wake up. It's time for the...
It's too early for a trivia question.
Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia question is being brought to us by Gleason's Gym. That's right. Check it out, man. They got a lot of stuff going on. Go to our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click the Gleason Gym banner. And listen, we want you to sign up for their fantasy boxing camp. It's a 10th anniversary. They do it every year. You get to do everything that pro boxers do. That's right. You'll learn how to train. You'll learn how to eat. You'll learn how to do everything that they do, and it will culminate into a fight that you get to fight with another boxing fantasy camp member. This is all taking place between August 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th. Sign up today. And then let us know, because we want to follow you around. We want to write a story about you. We want to get some video and audio clips, all of that stuff. And we're going to follow you around for your whole experience. So drop me an email, Billy@talkinboxing, TALKINBOXING.com, and let me know you signed up. Now, how do you sign up? Like I said, go to our website, click the Gleason's Gym banner, tell them Billy C sent you and that you want a discount for the event. You can actually bring other people. It's at a resort. It's a really good getaway. If anything else, it's an inexpensive vacation for you. 718-797-2872 is the number to call. Now, today's It's Too Early for a Trivia Question features the same question that we've had for the last week and a half. Nobody's got it right. A lot of people have guessed, and they're all wrong. We got two great prizes on the line. First, your own copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. It's a great game, simulation. It's for the diehard boxing fan for show. It's worth about $40. You got that, and you got a collector's edition Rocky Marciano knocking out Jersey Joe Walcott phone card that was put out in the 1990s, courtesy of Pugilistica.com. If you're the first one that can answer this question, who fought in the most fights from 1950 through 1959? Who fought in the most fights from 1950 through 1959? If you know the answer, email me, Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That's Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. Let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. Give them a call, 845-221-4099. On this day, June 22nd, in 1937, Joe Louis knocks out James Braddock in the 8th round to win the World Heavyweight title in Chicago. Now here's an ironic thing for you. Joe Louis would hold on to this title for over a decade because on this very same day, June 22nd, 12 years later, in 1949, Ezra Charles wins a 15-round decision over Jersey Joe Walcott to win the vacated World Heavyweight title, which was vacated by my man Joe Louis himself, at the same place in Chicago on the same day, 12 years later. So that's what took place on this day, June 22nd in 1937 and in 1949. Hey, man, enjoy the fights this weekend. Enjoy your weekend in general. But remember one more thing. Remember to tune in on Monday morning, same bat time, same bat channel. There's only one channel, the Fight Now channel. Call your local television provider right now and tell them you want the Fight Now channel, ANC Sports Channel lineup. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and call them for all the information about the channel. You can find it on their website, www.fightnow.com. Enjoy the fights this weekend, man. Ciao, baby.